Live once again from Charlotte Motor Speedway, Leading Edge Pro Series here for another edition, and this is the first round of the top six. Looks like there's kind of a slim field here with my good buddy DP, as always. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just saying it's going to be a long one for these Leading Edge Pro Series guys, 100 laps, and so that's going to be around 150 miles. And so with these 25% races, you don't normally get races that long. Right now, the 18 leading the 2. He's doing a good job staying up front.
Yeah, right on 37 of Mr. Track Car 33. Really fast tonight. Gotta love all these patriotic red, white, and blue schemes running here for Memorial Day last Monday. A couple days ago, it was forever ago. And then, of course, the Cup guys actually raced at Charlotte this past weekend, 600 miles. Kyle Larson beat down on the field as the 2-car still leading this race so far. It'll be 100 laps tonight, DP, so a little bit of a longer race, but still short in comparison to the regular Charlotte race.
Yeah, the 2-car out to the lead. The Charlotte is going to be one of those tracks, Ryan, where you need to set on the bottom as much as you possibly can. The 2 trying to do the best that he can to do that. I've noticed some of these cars, though, are getting really tight off these exits, just like the 2 did. You see the 4 able to go down. It looks like there's still going to be enough room for the 2 to keep his line. But watch that as these drivers come off the exits. The 4 touches the apron, gets up into the 18. They're going to lose some momentum there, giving room for the 10 of a more smoky now runs second. And there's a big gap between him and the rest of the leaders.
Definitely, you can see it when the screen got into the apron and sent him up into those cars on the side of it. He's going to lose several positions here as he drops to almost the back of the pack. Back up front here with the 2 of Stout Whiskey still has a companion. Second. Good race so far for the 2 of Stout Whiskey.
Yeah, you see the gap now between the 2 and the 4 of Jose. And this is where it gets really important. The 2 can use all the track here and run his line, but the 4 is broken away from traffic as well. So he has no hindrance around him to run his line as well. These setups coming into play. But I've noticed, Ryan, that these cars, they're running these cars extremely loose. A lot of slipping and sliding. And so as these tires start to wear, the car's going to change dramatically, and it's going to be interesting as we get through this first fuel run, how the cars are going to start to react. Already you see some cars in the back kind of moving down to the bottom. They're just getting really loose off the exit, and so just a lot of different things that you got to be able to manage at a track like Charlotte.
Had for this year. Those 3 guys have definitely done a really good job all year. The 2 cars looks like he has found his setup there. Ford Mustang 37's closing in on the 10 mark now. The track goes fast. I don't know, we'll have to see. I think he can close in on the 2 there, DP.
Well, now he starts to get some help from the 37. If the 37 doesn't want to race him, looks like they're getting a little racy there, but the 37 was able to get around him pretty quickly. Now, if the 10 wants to push the 37, there's definitely power in the draft. But you got to be patient, and you got to not decide for yourself that you're going to take that spot. These 2 drivers need to wait until they get to the leader. If I'm the 10, I'm pushing, and I'm going to let the 37 fight the 2. Maybe those 2 guys can get into it, and I can go around both of them.
Yeah, 37 clears the 10 off more smoke. currently running a fourth position. They are trying their best to catch those front three, and draft definitely a factor here. Not as much as Talladega or Daytona, of course, but still definitely plays a factor here in this Charlotte race.
Yeah, and as we talk about draft, Ryan, we know that there's always strength in numbers. The 18 of the Aviator just trying to sniff a pull from the 10. If he can get that, it's going to be good news for the 18, but now you see those cars starting to pull back. A couple laps ago, the 18, the 8, the 9, they were really, really close together, and so that was giving them a lot of speed. And so now you see the 2, the 37, and the 10, they're together. They'll start to pull away from the 18 unless they start racing. Right now, they stay single file all the way back, looks like through 10th place.
Shorter field, you'll see that. Anytime that you start getting into the playoffs, a lot of people just don't want to affect the playoff drivers. So definitely a smaller field, but I believe you say DP, some of the best races I've ever had ran with 10 people.
Yeah, and when you got the talent that we're seeing in this field that we've seen all year long, winning a race like this, regardless of the fuel size the field size, is big. And so the 2 continues to try to hold off the 10. He's gotten back around the 37, but the 18 of the Aviator has now joined this party. The 2 doing a good job of staying in front, but you got to think that the 10 is probably getting antsy unless they want to continue to do this and pull farther and farther away from the rest of the field. It looks like the 8 is down on the grass, Ryan.
Got a little loose coming out of turn 2. He's right behind the 9. Leaves Justin. Go back up to the front. The 2 of Stout Whiskey still leading this race so far. But, he's pretty much led from green flag to now. You see the 18 of the Aviator has made his way up to 4th now, trying to contest the 37 and the 10. But still, so far, no one has really had anything for that number
2 car doing a great job. There's a number of things that you need to do at Charlotte to stay in the lead, and it could be a little bit of both. He could be doing that. Oh, never mind. You see the 2 car coming down pit road. That's going to shake things up a little bit. We'll see if the rest of these guys come down right after him. It looks like four drivers down pit road. The 8 of Tom Flitty with them down pit road as well.
Green flag pit stops have begun. That will give the lead to that 37 of Mr. Track Bar, as he now will come down pit road. So we'll see what that does for the shakeup. Looks like the 3 of the J-Mac Attack stays out for 1 additional lap. Maybe some fuel saving strategy there, BP, but we'll have to keep a watch on that as these laps continue to tick down.
As you said, laps continue to tick down. A little bit of a playoff update. Charlotte, the first round of the 6 drivers that remain in this race. And so going to try to pull that up for the fans, Ryan. I just had it and lost it. We want to make sure that they know what's going on with their favorite driver on the track. And so we'll definitely get that information as soon as I can pull that back up.
37 comes out of pit road. There you see the 2 and the 10 go by him, and it looks like the 18 also will make it past the 37 of Mr. Track Bar. So an additional lap on the track. There you see could have just been pit road entrance and exit that made that gap, but you definitely, the sooner you come to pit road, the more time you can make up on the track.
Absolutely. With the 25% wear, though, once you come back out, you're going to get some time, but definitely some separation now with the 2 and the 10 from the rest of the field. And so that's going to be good for them. And it looks like they are hooked up, nose to tail, bumper to bumper, the 10 pushing the 2, and that's maybe a really good strategy for these guys. They can kind of run with each other, and they can let this race be with them, and they don't have to worry about a third or a fourth driver getting in the mix.
Absolutely. It's I'm watching the 37, seeing if maybe he's gaining some time on the front three guys, but it really doesn't look like he is. So just that one lap, I don't know. He could have just had a really bad entrance into pit road, or maybe a bad exit. But the 2 car and the 10 now, like literally back to back as they go around here. Just some great racing here at Charlotte.
Yeah, and that's going to definitely help them as well. You know, I still think the one lap will help as far as that extra little bit of tire, especially in the first 2 or 3 laps. But the 2 and the 10 were so hooked up, and then of course the 18 and the 37, they're a lot broke up, and so definitely more speed from the leaders. They were able to fend that off, and I think at this point the tires have probably evened out, and so you got two car duos here trying to do something. The 18 goes high, lets the 37 by. Maybe the 18 a little bit more comfortable pushing, but these guys are definitely going to work together, Ryan, and try to catch up. This is going to be some good green flag racing we're about to see.
Absolutely it is, and still the 2 car just has been the class of the field so far, but the 10 definitely been right on his back bumper, as now the 37 has went around the 18 of the Aviator. So that's your top 4 here at Charlotte. Again, it's a 100-lap race tonight, 25% race length. So for all the mathematicians, Coke 600 normally it is the longest race of the NASCAR season. And DP, me and you, we got our fair share of Charlotte last week. Ran it for our truck iRacing, as well as trucks, Xfinity, and A Squared. So we definitely have figured our way around Charlotte. Maybe not quite as fast as some of these guys, but still, we've logged a lot of laps here.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks that you definitely have to log a lot of laps at. We watch these drivers go around and around the track, and this is some great, hard, clean racing that we're seeing. But this is difficult to do, and these guys are running custom setups, and so that kind of changes the parameters a lot more because your braking lines change, your back in the gas lines change, where you're running on the track and how you drive the race car around that bottom blue line could definitely change. And so there's a lot of different things that are involved in this race right now. These drivers are doing a great job of handling it. The 2 and the 10 are doing the best job. They are stacked up trying to get away. It doesn't look like though that they're gaining too much time on the 37 and the 18. They are right there ready for a mistake.
Absolutely. They have not lost much time at all. You would think that these front 2 being right behind each other that they would pull away, but the 37 and the 18 definitely have not lost that draft of the front 2. There's the 18 of the Aviator riding along with him in that number 18 red, white, and blue Skittles Toyota Camry. You can see he is just watching these front 3 here, just trying to make up some time. But the 37 definitely looks like he's gaining on the front 2, and I think the 10 might be seeing that in his rearview mirror. He's picked it up a gear, and he's trying to get around the 2 car now coming into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys do not want the 37 of Mr. Track Bar to win this race. He comes into the race 2 points ahead of Stout Whiskey, 4 ahead of Leafs Justin, more smoke running in 4th, 6 points behind the 37. And so the 2 and the 10 definitely using some playoff strategy as well to try to keep the 37 behind him. But here he is. That 2-car duel has turned into a crowd. And so this is going to be very interesting. The 2 needs to run the bottom here, and he does. And the 10 is going to stay with him. But is the 37 going to change things up from this duo that we've seen up front, Ryan?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch as they continue around Charlotte. Again, I don't think that we have a lap counter for us tonight, so it's kind of a guessing game at this point. We know that they've already made one green flag pit stop, so definitely still a handful of laps remaining. But this 37 doing everything he can, but he is definitely there now. He's just waiting on his opportunity to make a move on those front two, and the 18 has dropped off a little bit. So now a 3-car battle for the lead. We'll have to see what the 37 does as they come into turn 1 here at Charlotte.
Still lined up, the 37 trying to stay with the plan here. The 18 is now going to be the one hung out to dry. The Aviator not running for a championship this season, but a strong season for the Aviator nonetheless. He is going to set in 4th. The 3 of J-Mac Attack and the 9 of Leafs Justin have fallen off the pace. They're running 4th and 5th respectively, and they are duoed up trying to catch the 18. There's still a lot of racing left to do. The 9 of Leafs Justin comes into this race in 3rd in points. Just 4 points behind Mr. Track Bar, the J-Mac Attack, with 4,002 points, which is going to put him second to last and just outside of that cutoff line, Ryan, coming into this race. And so the 3 needs to have a strong performance. The 9 gets loose. Sorry, I know you're probably watching the leaders, but that is pretty much the state of the playoffs in this Charlotte race. We're probably about 30 laps, 40 laps into the race, and so a few more pit stops still left to come, still some strategy to be used.
Absolutely, and yeah, like you said, I mean, especially the first race after a points reset is probably one of the most critical races because everyone, back to somewhat equal. And
Ryan, we have a pass for the lead. Sorry, the 37 underneath the 2. The 10 going to try to get with him, but he gets really loose. The 2 was just stuck outside underneath the 37. The 37 was able to go by, Ryan.
And now we watch as the 37, can he pull away from the 2 and the 10? The 10 looks like he hits the outside wall coming out of turn 4. He's pushing that number 10 Ford Mustang as hard as he can. The 2-car of Stout Whiskey still not losing ground yet on the 37. Looks like he got a little bit of the apron there. We'll have to see if that causes him any issues into 3 and 4. But now the 18 car of the Aviator looks like he's gaining a little bit on these front 3 as they were changing positions. But the 37 definitely looks like he has a pretty good long run car and made some good adjustments on that number 37.
Great racing we are seeing from these leading edge Pro Series drivers. Shout out to Rock NASCAR for sponsoring this race and all races this season. We've seen some fantastic races from these drivers, and the 37 has been at the top of a lot of them. Like I said, comes in the points leader. The 2, the 10 is going to dart off pit road. They're going to leave the 37 on the track. And so now we're going to see what's going to happen with these tires. I believe the 37 will probably come in next time by.
Yeah, we're riding along with the 37 now, so we'll see what he decides to do this time around. Definitely seemed like maybe the 2 and the 10 working together to come down pit road. And the 37 is going to come this time, but almost misses pit road. That was, we'll have to keep an eye on that, DP. I don't know if he may have sped or not, but that was very close on the entrance of pit road there for the 37.
We'll have to see if the 37 is going to have to serve a penalty or not. Meanwhile, the 2 and the 10 make their exit and fighting right there with each other. We're going to have to see. It looks like the 2 is going to be able to have the slight advantage over the 10 coming onto the backstretch. The 18 has got to them as well. Not quite sure if he's come down pit road or if they have, or if he's lapped them. So we're going to have to check to see if the 18 comes down pit road, Ryan. But otherwise, if he hasn't, the 18 has made up a ton of ground on the 2 and the 10.
Yeah, I think the 18 has pitted. I saw him dart off. I think he may even came down 1 lap sooner than the 2 and the 10. So it'll be interesting to see. But as you see, DP, I don't see the 37 anywhere. There he is just now. Looks like he's getting up to speed. The 4 car goes around him. I do believe he may have gotten a speeding penalty. I knew he looked like he came in really, really hot. So unfortunately the 37 will not be your race leader anymore. Mistake on pit road, and it's easy to do here at Charlotte.
Yeah, that's going to be big for the 37 of Mr. Trackbar. Comes in the points leader. He's going to need to make up some ground, and we haven't seen any cautions. A small field, and so if a caution comes out, that could change the entire format of this race. But the 2 and the 10 have been linked up all night long, almost perfectly, and they are pulling away from the rest of the field. The 18 on some strategy was able to catch a little bit, but he's up into the wall, and he's going to lose some ground once again. The 2 and the 10 are far away from the rest of the competition.
Yes, they are, and they have been for most of the night. We have went through 2 green flag pit stops. Again, just a 100-lap race here at Charlotte, which seems like a lot, but man, you can run pretty fast lap times here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So won't take near as long as you think when you say 100 laps, but it is one of the longer races. So even with these guys running 25% length, this is going to be their longest race of the season here at Charlotte. So a lot of laps still left, and the 2 and the 10 are just absolutely showing the field what these 2 Ford Mustangs are capable of. The 18, like you said, DP, looked like he was closing in on these guys, but just pushed it a little high coming out of turn number 2 and got into that outside wall, and he has lost a lot of spots. And our good buddy John Fry Dog says Trackbar is 13.9 seconds behind. So definitely a speeding penalty there, and that cost him big time on the track.
Yeah, big news there for the 37. The 2 has now got some separation from the 10. I think the 10 kind of pushed a little bit too much in 1 and 2. He got a little bit tight, and the 2 was able to kind of sail away a little bit. I don't expect it to be much, but that 10 kind of loses some grip, and that car gets really squirrely at the end of these runs. And so I know they just came out of the pits about 4 or 5 laps ago, but with the fuel, or with the wear that we're running and the amount of laps that they have on fuel and in their tires, that's a big difference. And so now the 10 is able to get hooked back up with the 2. The 18 has lost a ton of ground to these top 2 drafting cars, right?
Yeah, and once you lose touch with those front 2, it is really difficult, like you said, to make up that time. Frydog in the chat cheering 10 bits. Thank you, buddy. Have not talked to you in a long time. We got to change that, man. But thank you for tuning in and watching. We also got our good buddy Runaway Mayo says good luck everyone racing. Great battle here. Absolutely, the 2 and the 10 are putting on a show right now, as they are basically just they're just right behind each other, and they have been for most of this race, DP. So really good job for the 2 and the 10. The 10 car looking low, but decides better of it, and still just great racing out here.
Yeah, and we're coming down to a point, though, Ryan, where we're so far away from everybody else. The 10 knows that, especially on these green flag pit stops, that the 2 is going to have all the advantage coming down pit road. He's going to be able to brake and stop when he wants to. And, of course, when you come out, even a small difference in what your pit cycle can be. We know that with these pit times can range from 15.5 to 16.2. And so that 1/8 of a second could be big. I wonder if the 10, now as he kind of backs off the 2 just a little bit, decides that he's going to try to make a move so that his car can have that advantage over the 2 of Stout Whiskey.
Yeah, definitely some strategy playing out here. The 18 still in third, but he's had some issues on the track, so he's fallen back a little bit from these front two. But the 2 and the 10, definitely, you know, if you're the 10 car DP, you're able to save a little more than the 2 because of the draft that he's getting from the 2 of Stout Whiskey. So I think that's why the 10's just kind of riding right now, just trying to save as much fuel as he possibly can at this point. So that's a strategy all in itself from the 10 of a More Smoke. But these two guys have just really put on a show. Rock NASCAR 388 in the chat says keep on digging, drivers. They definitely have to keep going. There's still a long ways to go here at Charlotte, and anything could happen. Caution could come out at any moment. And Fry Dog says, asks, when are your awards stream for ARCS? Good question, buddy. That will be June 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. ARCS on this channel will hold our Season 1 awards show for all of our members, so make sure everyone tunes into that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get all our guys together and have a little bit of fun, and it was really fun for Season 1, and now we get to include the entirety of ARCS, so it's going to be a blast.
Looking forward to that. Always something going on, Ryan, and it's such a pleasure to be doing these things. We get to, you know, race. We get to call races. We get to run races, and to watch these guys, like especially the 2 and the 10, just been hooked up all night long. They came in with a strategy, or maybe they didn't come in with a strategy. Maybe they just kind of got hooked up, and they was like, "Oh, this is what we're gonna do." But nonetheless, the 2 and the 10 putting on a show, riding single file. The 10 starting to lose a little bit of ground. Don't know if that's some strategy plan or if he's just kind of playing around with the 2. So we'll have to see how that works out. I think that we're going to be seeing some pit stops here in the next 5 or 6 laps probably.
Yeah, that'll be our 3rd round of green flag pit stops here at Charlotte as we ride along with the 10 of a More Smoke. And yeah, you can definitely tell. It looks like he is backing off from the 2 of Stout Whiskey. Not sure if that's, like you said, just maybe a strategy to keep from getting into each other when they do come on pit road. But for right now, looks like the 2 cars and the 10 both staying out. Our good buddy Fry Dog says 43 to go. Thank you so much. That is a huge help for me and DP as we're flying blind out here. Still waiting on that lap counter. Don't know if we'll get it, DP, but maybe with the new game coming out in supposedly September, we'll see what that has to offer, and really hoping it's cross-platform, DP. That would be amazing. But still, not a lot of information on it yet, so kind of a mystery. So I'm looking forward to hear more from that new game.
Yeah, absolutely. I really am excited to see what they have in store for us. Of course, we've had a ton of fun on NASCAR Heat 4 and NASCAR Heat 5, but it is not without its issues, and that is to say the least. And so very excited for what they have in store for us this fall. And for now, we just kind of ride it out. Thank you so much for guys like John Fry, Stout Whiskey. Of course, there's a bunch of guys that stream their races a lot of times, and so it's really taxing on their internet. With the Heat 5 servers, that becomes an issue too. And so shout out to those guys who can stream for us when they can, understand when they can't. The 2 car is going to yield the lead to the 10. He's going to come down pit road.
So pit stops have started once again, and again, this is an opportunity for a mistake to be made. It's very important for these guys to get on and off pit road, so we'll have to keep an eye on the 2. It looks like he came in pretty clean, though. I didn't see anything alarming, but sometimes, DP, it doesn't take much. I mean, you think that you're good, and you're just, 2 or 3 miles an hour over, and that's all it takes to just basically ruin your race.
Definitely don't want to have something like that. The 2 car looks like he came on pit road clean. The 10 car now gets on pit road, but Brian, I think this is an advantage to the 2 car. The 10 car is going to have 1 lap newer tires when he comes off pit road, but the 2 had that advantage when he came down pit road. And so we're going to see how this plays out. You see the 37 of Track Bar, he comes down to get adjustments. The 18 was also just down pit road as well. And so definitely this next wave of pit stops is coming through, and you got to be thinking if these guys are trying to make it on one more stop.
Very possible. There you see the 2 car is going to go by the 10 car, but like you said, the 10 will have 1 lap fresher tires, but still, I don't think that is going to be enough. The 2 car just really opened up the gap there, and it could just be that, you know, they heard the 37 had that penalty. The 10 car could have just been a little too conservative, and that's an issue too, DP. I mean, if you come to pit road and instead of entering at 45 or 50, you come in at 40 or 35, you lose tremendous amounts of time on the racetrack. So that's something that these guys have to pay attention to as well. So 2 car is your race leader. Looks like he is about to, he will inherit the lead once all the green flag pit stops finish up. You saw the 3 of the J Mac attack come down pit road just then, and we mentioned the 3 car. He definitely is trying to stay out a little bit more than these other cars, so he could be playing that strategy, like you said, DP, of maybe trying to make it on one more stop instead of 2.
We're going to have to see how it plays out with the rest of the field right now at the front. The 2 of Stout Whiskey has pretty much dominated this whole race. It's easy to say that when the 10 has pretty much pushed him this whole race. The 10 has played nice guy with the 2, but as we talked about earlier, when the 10 sets behind the 2 for that long, coming through these pit cycles, it usually shows advantage to that leader, and now you see the gap between the 2 and the 10. The 10's going to have to do what he can to make that back up, but yes, they're going to have to make at least one more stop to get through this race, and those green flags pit stops change everything. We saw the 37 of Mr. Track Bar. He came down speeding earlier in the race, and so with no cautions, since then, he's kind of just been running around. We know some of these drivers, a lot of these drivers have some really strong, fast cars, but the 2 and the 10 have kind of built such a gap, and now the 2 has a bigger gap on the 10 than he's had all night. The 10 trying to make up some ground. It's just really hard pressing out there.
Yeah, now the 2 car can, with that lead he has, can almost, save a little bit more. He wasn't really able to save anything when the 10 was right there on his back bumper. So it'll give him some breathing room to not run as fast as he was before. Frydog in the chat says, smoke makes that bacon look good. Absolutely. More smoke in that number 10 Vote for America bacon paint scheme. Definitely that red, white, and blue looks good. He also says that Track Bar was 9.9 seconds back after pit stops. So you were, earlier 13.9 behind. So that 37 is coming. I just don't know if he'll have enough time to make up that kind of ground, DP. But definitely, he's got a fast car.
Just a little bit over 30 laps remaining in this race. 150 miles. This is a long race for the schedule that Leading Edge usually runs. The 2 car looking super strong right here. The 10 has kind of made up a little bit of ground, Ryan, but he's still just got to kind of sniff some draft as much as he can. If he can try to get just a little bit closer, he might be able to just get a little bit of draft. There's going to be a lap car here coming up. It looks like the 18 is high and out of the way of the 2. The 10 going to come down there underneath of him. And so bad night for the 18. He desperately needs a caution to get back in this race.
Absolutely. And of course here with the Heat 5, we do not have a running order. So we don't know exactly if maybe the 18's trying some strategy Um, did he stay out possibly? Again, we do not know. So DP, it could be that the 18 might have stayed out. I don't know, obviously, without the lap counter and the running order, it's hard to tell. But we do know for sure that the 2 car and the 10 running first and second right now. But the 18 could have some strategy play out, but we'll stay tuned and see if we can figure out exactly what's going on with the 18 of the Aviator. But yeah, DP definitely going to be a big hit to him in the points. But man, that 2 car is just bad fast tonight.
Bad fast indeed. The 10, though, is making up ground now on the 2. The 10 doing everything he can to try to catch the 10. And it looks like he has made up a whole bunch of that. He needs just a little bit more time. Not quite sure if the 2 is saving a little bit. Maybe to try to save some fuel and get around on one stop. So that's going to be interesting to see. But the 10 has definitely caught the 2.
Yeah, the 10 of A More Smoke in the VoteForBacon.com Ford Mustang has definitely shortened the gap that he had coming out of pit road, and he's got the draft now of the 2, even if it's just a little bit. That's all it really takes here at Charlotte with this really, really fast 1.5 mile track. So we'll have to see if the 10 has anything for the 2 when he gets to him, or is he just going to ride behind him like he has been for most of the night. But with, basically closing in on about 30 to go, he's going to want to get by him at some point, DP. We'll just have to see when he decides that is when the right time is. But he is there now. The 10 car has caught the 2 of Stout Whiskey.
Yeah, if I was in the driver's chat, I'd say, Smoke, you can't sit behind him again. Don't do that to yourself again. The 10 has made up all the ground back now on the 2 of Stout Whiskey. The 2 tries to hug that bottom line. He's got to keep that car low to avoid giving the 10 the line. Throughout the race, the 10 has been content to stay right behind the 2. Right now, he does the same, but his patience has got to be wearing thin.
Oh, it would be for me, for sure. There you see he looks low. No draft down there, so he's going to come back up high, get behind the 2. You see there how he kind of backs up the entrance into turn 3 and 4 DP. That's a really good move. It gives you a really good run off of turn 4. And there you see he's going to go to the inside of the 2, side by side, coming into turn 1. New leader, 10 car, A More Smoke.
A More Smoke just had to get around the 2 of Stout Whiskey, and he does. And now we're off to the races. Not a whole lot of laps remaining here in this race for the Leading Edge Pro Series. Opening round of 6. And so only one race remaining in this round at Iowa. The 2 has looked strong all night long, led most of the race. The 10 of A More Smoke being right there with him the entire time. Now the 10 takes over, new leader at Charlotte.
Yeah, and like you said, next week they will be at Iowa Speedway in the Xfinity cars. And then the week after that will be the season finale live from Las Vegas in the Cup cars. So after tonight, only 2 more races, and season 1 of Leading Edge Pro Series will be in the history books. So only 2.5 more races until they will crown their first ever champion. And I'm sure that they'll have a season 2 planned at some point, and that's going to be a lot of fun if it's anything like this first season so far. So really cool schedule. It was cool to see some of these Pro Series guys run trucks and Xfinity Series. DP, you normally only ever see them in the Cup cars, so it was really cool to see them run as fast as they do in the Cup cars down there in the trucks and Xfinity as well.
Absolutely, and it just changes the name of the game, keeping these guys on their heels, having to make setups for 3 different types of race cars, albeit not at every track do they run 3. Just 1 per track. Now the 2 comes down pit road, leaves the 10 out, and he's going to have to go 1 more lap. And so we're going to see this battle again, Ryan. It just keeps getting better and better, but as the laps tick down, these moves are getting more and more important. And so the 10 going to look to slow down, get down pit road, but you can't slow down too soon, Ryan. You'll lose a ton of time.
Yeah, you do. And there you see the 3 already on pit road, so he must have abandoned his strategy. And there's the 37 of Mr. Track Bar also down pit road, as well as the 8 of Tom Flitty, the 9 of Leafs Justin. So everyone making green flag pit stops once again. 2 car of Stout Whiskey now comes out of pit road, and there is the 10 of More Smoke. He is now on pit road here at Charlotte. So this very well could be the last green flag stop. Maybe we can get our buddy Uncle Fry to get us a lap update in the chat, and we can see exactly how many laps are left. But this could very well be the last green flag pit stop for this race tonight, DP.
10 car makes his pit stops, and he is off and on to turn 1. Here comes the 2 coming into the corner, and he's going to get around the 10, but the 10 once again is going to be in this position where he's got to chase back down the 2. The gap about the same as it was before. I think the 10 has enough laps to get to the 2, Ryan, but he's got to do it all over again, and it's hard to ask a driver to be that perfect constantly. The 10 touches the wall just a little bit. I don't think he'll lose too much speed, Ryan, but definitely got to do it all over again.
Absolutely, and he, it's about the same gap that he saw exiting pit road the last time that they made green flag pit stops. So definitely something that he can do, but with, obviously closing in on probably about 20 to go, these laps are going to tick off pretty quick. So he's got to be perfect, like you said, DP, and any scrape with the wall that he may have had, that's going to be huge in making sure he catches that 2. But he looks like he's already starting to reel him in just a little bit, so we'll keep an eye on the 10, see if he can catch the 2, and then once he catches him, DP, then he has to pass him.
Entering that turn 3/4 super high, diving all the way down to the bottom of the track and trying to get it as straight as you possibly can, as soon as you possibly can. That's how you run 3 and 4 here at Charlotte, and that is how you make or break this race. 3 and 4 is the toughest, I think it's the toughest corner of any 1.5 miles, I think, that we'll go to on this game at all. And so if you can run 3 and 4 just right, you could definitely get a good run. The 2 looks like he was running that really well, but the 10 is just so much faster here. He's gaining a ton of ground lap by lap.
He is. It's just amazing how fast that 10 car is. I mean, even with just 1 lap fresher tires, as you see, the 2 gets a little close to the wall there, has to kind of jump off the wall. That's going to slow his momentum down a little bit. But the 10 car is now there. He is on top of the 2 of Stout Whiskey, and now he's just got to make that pass, which he's going to try and do. Coming into turn 1, they're going to make a little bit of contact. Whoa, that is close, DP. Side by side, coming out of 2, down the back straightaway.
The first contact either one of them, I think, is made all night long besides to push. Now the 10 and the 2 side by side going into 3. The 10's going to have the advantage. He gets a little bit tight, but he's able to keep it down. The 2's going to try to go back underneath. The 10 closes the door. The 10 is the leader. Very, very few laps to go, Ryan.
Absolutely. We're trying to get a lap count for you guys at home. Trust us, we want one as well. So we will. Oh man, I just can't even believe this. This is just great racing, DP. I'm speechless up here. 10 car and the 2 car were side by side there again for another turn, and the 2 car is not going away. He's going to stay right on the 10's back bumper. This is just an amazing race for these front two. Everybody else kind of just running their own race, but this is where the battle's at, and it is for the lead. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Lap after lap, these two drivers have done battle here at Charlotte. Not a whole lot of laps remaining, but let me tell you, Ryan, I'm extremely impressed by these drivers' ability to keep it on the bottom in 1 and 2. It's so easy to kind of overdrive that corner, and it kind of comes up on you. The 10 and the 2 have been right on the bottom of the racetrack in these corners all the way through the race, almost without mistake. The 10 has pushed the 2 pretty much all night. The 2 is now returning the favor, but there's not a lot of laps here. And so how long until the 2 and the 10 really start to duke this out?
Yeah, it looks like they have already started, as the 2 car is just glued to the back bumper of that 10 of a More Smoke. Right along with the 2, there you see he is just right behind him, just waiting for the 10 to make a mistake. And I'm telling you, DP, turn 3 and 4, you definitely can make a mistake there. We saw the 4 get into the apron early on, right at the race start. The 2 gets loose off of turn 4, but does not think about lifting as they continue around this track here. Still green flag, no cautions so far throughout this night. Again, when you only have an 8 or 9 car field, DP, especially with this kind of talent, you know, kind of what we expected. We didn't expect to see a lot of cautions, but the 2 car has not gone away yet. He is doing his best, but now you have to wonder, is he going to use up his tires and use up his equipment before he can make a pass on the 10 of More Smoke?
As we see the 10 and the 2 cross the start-finish line, 2 drivers remain on pit road. The 18 of the Aviator and the 8 of Tom Flitty will not finish this race, Ryan. And so that small field got a little bit smaller. But right now, it's an extremely small field. There's about 2 drivers that have a chance to win this race without a caution. That is the 10 of a More Smoke, the 2 of Stout Whiskey. Incredible racing, as you've talked about, that we continue to see. And we don't mean to sound redundant, but redundant is a really good thing when you see these cars so close together and working together the way that they have done all night long. But at some point, the patience is going to give out. These 2 are going to have to duke it out. I'm ready for that. The 10 gets tight and into the wall. That's going to bring the 2 to the outside, Ryan, side by side now going into 1.
2 car, your new leader, Stout Whiskey, gets around the 10. What a move. And we were riding along with the 37 there before we swapped back to the 2. And DP, when you get a chance, go look at that 37 and see what you see. The 2 and the 10, they're little dots, but he's catching them. And you know, I don't think he'll have enough laps, but what a recovery after speeding on pit road, losing a bunch of spots. And he is digging right now, trying to catch these front 2. And DP, the more that these front 2 fight each other, the better chance the 37 has of catching them. But the 2 car still your leader, the 10 in second, 37 of Mr. Track Bar running in third.
And don't think that the 37 coming is lost on these top 2 drivers. They want to make sure that he stays back there. They do not want to make this a 3-car race. The 10 now gets to the outside of the 2. These drivers are definitely now starting to battle it out. I look for these guys to start to get really aggressive here and try to see ways around. The 10 looking every which way, now gets underneath the 2, Ryan. He's going to try to take the lead now.
Absolutely, they are side by side coming out of turn 4. The 10 car and the 2 coming to the line. That time I couldn't tell you who led that lap. They were that close. Thank you. We want to give a shout out to X3ZMY for the follow. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for tuning in tonight. We are seeing a amazing race for the lead here as the 10 car takes the lead back from the 2 of Stout Whiskey. The 10 car will come to the line and tick off one more lap here, as they are got to be getting close to the end of this race. Again, we don't have a streamer and no lap counter, so we are kind of flying blind. But it is. Oh, the 10 car gets loose right there at a 2 DP. That was really close.
The 2 taking the advantage of the 10. That 10 has been getting loose off these quarters a lot. You see there it is just a little bit again. The 2 right there on his bumper and is helping that car turn on the exits, and so he's still pushing it really hard to try to get around the 10. Both these drivers doing a great job here, but the 37 getting closer and closer. He comes out of turn 2 as these drivers just get ready to come into turn 3, and so just about a backstretch.
As hard as these 2 in the front are racing, DP, you got to think that this race is close to the end. That was it. That was it right there. The 2 is going to beat the 10 to the line side by side. That is the checkered flag there for the Leading Edge Pro Series at Charlotte. What a finish. What a race. 2 car just barely beats out the 10. Wow, what a race. And the 37, man, 10 more laps, his 37 would have been there, DP.
Yeah, no doubt. The 37 was coming. The 2 and the 10 were definitely getting aggressive. They were a lot closer on the laps than what even we thought. We knew it was coming down to it. But the 10 and the 2, they put on a great show. The 37, you got to hate it for him. That one speeding penalty cost the chance at, this being a 3-way fight. And so it'll be interesting to talk to these drivers after the race.
Absolutely. So we'll talk to the top 3 finishers here in just a moment. Everyone stay tuned. Driver interviews coming soon. Back here with our top 3 finishers from Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll start with our 3rd place finisher, Mr. Track Bar. We saw you got a speeding penalty, and you were almost 15 seconds back from the leaders. And, man, I'm telling you, if you had 10 or 15 more laps, I think you would have been there battling with them. Tell us about your race. We know you had a fast car.
Yeah, I messed up going on the pit road. Just barely. I mean, I barely went past my marker just a little bit, but it didn't slow down like I expected it to, and just spit on the pit road. And beginning the race, though, I mean, I threw in a completely random setup right before the race, made a few changes to it. Just only did like 3 laps on it, pretty much. It felt pretty decent, but it was wicked loose to start off the first run, and went in the pits, made some changes to the air pressure, made some changes to the wedge, and after that, it was pretty solid. Like I was good on the short run, good on the long run, but like I said, Spade come on the pit road and just tried to drive my butt off to catch him. I was over 14 seconds back, and I ended the run at 4 seconds back there. I wish we had, like I said, another 20 laps or so. I think we would have had something from the boys, but we had a fast car.
Absolutely. We know you had a fast car. We saw it all night, but still, good job finishing P3, good points day, and can't complain too much.
Yeah, I can't complain at all. Good job to you guys, Stout and Amore.
DP, you have our second place finisher. Take it away.
More Smoke, you had an incredible race. At the end of that, you had to catch Stout Whiskey twice. You were able to pass him a couple times, but ultimately he was able to get back around you. Tell me more about your day, but also I want to know, did you guys talk before the race? Because you guys were like one car out there for about 60 laps.
No, it's just the way it was playing out. You could see it kind of getting strung out, and a couple of the faster cars were just a little bit behind us. So we just kind of worked together a little bit, try to not speed on pit road and make any mistakes, and just try to keep the gap. Yeah, car was pretty good. It wasn't the greatest, I don't think. Long run, it really hummed on the long run, but the first couple laps took a minute. Solid run. I'll take second.
Incredible run, and that is going to definitely help you with the rest of your season. Come up one position short. Ryan, you have our winner.
Absolutely. Stout number 2, Ford Mustang. You bring it home in P1. Tell us about your race and that awesome battle that you had with Amore at the end of the race.
Honestly, I didn't really expect the race to go like that. With actually having a chance to win, I figured a top 4 car, especially with track bar and as good as Moore is, and Aviator and Tom and Leafs and J Mac and Jose, but got the lead there early, and I definitely think Moore and I were similar on speeds, but anytime we race in any league, when we get hooked up like that 1-2 and we have a chance to kind of break away from the field, we don't even have to say anything. That's just what we're going to do. And, it worked out there. And, I just don't know if he was able to save a little bit of fuel and go a lap longer than I did. So when we came out of the pits there on, I guess it was lap 80 or 81, I just clutched it into 3 for 4 consecutive laps till he got to me. And then that way we could, race it out there. And hopefully you guys got to watch the last 4 or 5 laps there. That was a lot of fun, side by side, switching lead back and forth. And, just going into the turn 4 there, I just gave him the gentleman's nudge so I could just get him up the track a little bit and race him back to the line, and, was able to do it. So feels good. It's pissed at me. But, I would expect the same thing like that. It wasn't a wreck or anything. It was a nudge to give myself a chance to win the race. And, if I had the chance to do it again, I'd do it again.
Hey, you rubbed him, and rubbing is racing. So good win for you. And now with only 2 races left, only 1 race left in this final cutoff, definitely going to help your chances of winning the championship here in this first season. So good job.
I appreciate it. Just a big shout out to Rock NASCAR, Marty Hensley, for everything he does. Not only for you guys in the booth and for us drivers to kind of give this platform. This is, Track Bar's Monster. He brought us together. Guys he thought was, decent racers on NASCAR to get Heat 5. And, kind of gave us this platform. Thanks to you, Rylan, and Deployable Me for, giving up some of your spare time to call these races, man. I'm definitely appreciative. I know everybody in the league is, so thank you.
Yeah, we love it, man. Y'all always put on a good show, and there was no exception to that tonight, as y'all were basically side by side for the last 5 laps. So, DP, what'd you think, buddy? That was a pretty good race. I can't wait for Iowa next week.
Iowa's going to be definitely a tricky track. Stout Whiskey is going to lock himself in to the Final 4, and so More Smoke going to come home second. He's going to have to battle it out and try to make sure that he can lock his way in to that championship. 2 races remaining in this season. You do not want to miss those 2 right here on the ARCS Racing Network.
Yep, we will be live next Wednesday, around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will definitely don't want to miss next week. Iowa with the Xfinity cars, and our good buddy Fry Dog still giving us some love in the chat with 10 bits. Thank you there, buddy. And DP, that's going to do it for us tonight. So for our top 3 finishers, for the other drivers, for Rock NASCAR 388, he has been such a huge help to the success of this first season of Leading Edge. Can't thank him enough. That'll do it for us tonight. We will see y'all next week. And until then, stay on that loud pedal.